Shinji's a character I have some thoughts about, and an observation so strong that I'm surprised no one's made it before. Shinji's kinda pathetic. He can't withstand the pain he deals out, he's a coward, and his motivations are wishy-washy at best. To all the anime-onlys out there, that's not something that was cut out of the Heavensfeel movies. It's just kinda hand-waved in the visual novel as well. The best explanation for why our seaweed-haired lad is the way he is lies within the first chapter of the Heavensfeel manga, wherein he discovered that his family was a long line of magus and built up delusions of grandeur for years, only to learn that Sakura was the one set to be the heir of all that prestige and power. TLDR, inferiority complex. Which is covered somewhere in the visual novel, but it's a really small scene that I'd rather not spend hours searching for at the moment, so just take my word for it, or find it yourself, you lazy bum. I recall it being one of the interludes in Heavensfeel, and a very hand-wavy, "This is why he is the way he is. This is so deep. Are you understanding yet?" moments. Well, yes, Mr. Nasu, I understand, but I gotta say, very underwhelming, much like your handling of Ilya and Satsuki throughout the years. I mean, really, everyone gets a pre-order bonus but her? Lame. Evil. Mean. The kind of thing that leaves the taste of seaweed in your mouth. Fate Stay Night's 3-route structure works wonders for Shinji. He's always a dick in each, but to varying degrees of severity. For example, in the Fate route, you can really get a sense of why Shiro would want to be friends with this schmuck. The excuse of, "they were such good pals," is rather hackneyed and lazy. My boy Gen must have been taking notes. To the writing's credit, however, in the opening, you do kinda get a sense that they've been distancing from each other for some time now, asking Shiro to clean the dojo in his stead sends the vibe of manipulation on Shinji's part, and Shiro's response acknowledging that he knows exactly what Shinji's doing lends credence to both of their mentalities being rather unhealthy ones. Shinji's got this self-defeating mentality where he wants to see Shiro go against him so that he can prove his superiority over him. How normal of him. That's not all that defines him as a character in this route. About halfway through the Fate route, he offers an interesting proposal to Shiro, one that might come out of wanting to protect his own ass, but still shows that he's willing to reach out and ask for help. Man's not too far gone to acknowledge that he needs that much. It's a moment you wouldn't see out of his UBW and especially his Heavensfeel counterpart, and for that, I'm thankful. It shows a progression in character despite the story taking place over the same 15 days. Events change people, and the variations of such are something the visual novel explores well. More on that in a bit. I rather regret this little route split not happening. Wakame Paradise would have solved every issue I myself have with the Seaweed Boy. First and foremost, being amicable with Shiro for half a route would show a side to Shinji that isn't literally all negative character traits. Boy could have had some genuine personality, and it's thus that the audience would understand him better, and Shiro's wants to keep him as a friend as well. Which bleeds into point 2. It had set up for his downfall in the next 2 routes to not be what's totally expected. Without him being more endearing, Shinji is largely just some prick who's killed by Best Girl in Fate route, disgusting in UBW, and an outright monster in Heavensfeel. I don't think the next 2 routes need to be changed, save for one thing I'll get to in a bit, for Shinji to still be likable in his canned split of the Fate route. Even in retrospect, I mean. As a matter of fact, if Shinji was even slightly likable in Wakame Paradise, it would enhance those 2 routes immensely. A negative character arc is still a character arc, and if you get the audience to ask, "This was the guy I was rooting for? What happened to him?" it creates far more tension and attention to continue on and form their own theories. The revelation of it just being an inferiority complex would still be so simple a toddler could figure it out, but Nasu's always been one for conveying those things in a compelling manner. No spoilers, but Tsukihime. That's why I find it odd that this is just so hand-waved in the visual novel proper. It's almost like Fate's Stay Night is a horribly rushed project with multiple ideas and storylines cut to reach a self-imposed deadline, and that has a drastically negative impact on the story if you dive into it even a little bit. Something about that last tangent caught my attention, so let's continue. Negative character arc. Shinji has one. Each consecutive route in Stay Night shows us this. I mean, I've talked about how he was a meanie in the Fate route, so I won't waste your time with that again, but in UBW, it's shown what happens when someone plays into his complex. He's given the strongest servant, and gets his head up his own ass for it. He feels like he can do whatever he pleases, be it strutting into the Einsburn castle like he owns the bitch, or sexually assaulting Ren Tosaka. Which he talks a lot about, but never actually does. Fun fact, when I first read this, I thought he honestly just wanted her to grovel for him because that's how he gets his kicks, and he just considers that the easiest way to achieve it. Still fucked up, but not the worst thing possible. Unlimited Blade Works is the best ending for Shinji because of all this, though. His complex can be broken in a, oh shit, my way of thinking was kind of fucked, I need to amend that immediately. Which seems to be the approach used in the anime, which I very much appreciate. These adaptations can be very middling in the changes they make, but Sakura feeding this fuck apples is pretty cool. Like to imagine the Shinji grows up into a semi-competent human being. Good paradigm shift, especially considering the next route. The worst Shinji, as you might expect, is within Heaven's Feel. His complex started because of Sakura, and if Sakura's the one paid attention to instead of him, it's only natural that it pushes him into that fucked mindset more than any route. 'Tis also here where the depths of that depravity are dove into, with him infamously attempting to rape Sakura, stating that he's going to tell Shiro how many times they fucked before this too. No mistake, this is messed up, but I wasn't just talking about the worst Shinji in terms of his actions earlier. I also meant the way he's written. As I've talked about before, the lack of Shinji being more than a villain to the audience in some form or fashion before this changes the impact of the scene drastically from the way I think it was intended. What I think was the intention was to show that Shinji had snapped mentally at this point with no return other than death. What it comes across as, however, is the expected result considering he's never shown a shred of decency and has had rapey vibes about him since the prologue. I want to hone in on Shinji's word choice here. He's done this over and over to Sakura already. That conflicts with his character. For one, if he's used to this, why didn't he just go for it in UBW with Ren? And for two, if he was so intent on holding his power over others and proving himself the best, why team up with anyone like he tried in the Fate route? 3, and this one's largely personal, but this scene would be way more impactful if this was the first time he tried to do something like this. He breaks so much that he tries to rape his own sister. That's dark, that's depraved, and it's fucking horrifying. That's not grimdark. I find Shinji in Heaven's Feel to just be grimdark. I don't know, maybe I'm missing with this one, but that's where I'm at with this stuff. Shinji is just a mishandled character. Fantastic villain though, especially in Heaven's Feel. His writing and actions are tailor-made for you to absolutely despise him. And he does that wonderfully. Just to the visual novel's detriment at times. Point ended, Wakame Paradise Uwen Nasu. To hell with it, while we're here, let's talk about my favorite Shinji, Extraverse Shinji, otherwise known as Chad Shinji. This guy's got a sense of humor and a design that makes you understand why he's so popular. What other character can so flippantly call his best friend retarded and look like an intellectual while doing so? In all seriousness though, this is literally just Stay Night Shinji but how he should have been. A social retard who's a bit abusive, sure, but you can't deny he's endearing as heck, and when he looks out for himself because of the circumstances, you get it. And he doesn't look like a pathetic coward. A lot of people would react the way he does if put into the same situation. He's not less than human, he's just human. What a wonderful thing to happen. Fate Extra really is peak fiction. Did that tangent die out fast? Yep. Do I have any more to say on the matter of Shinji? Well, just one thing. Shinji-O tournament this Saturday at Tono House. Be there or be square. This video was a Patreon request. If you would like to request something or just want to help me financially climb out to the real world by supporting this content, then check out the Patreon page. Link in the description. Bye bye.